Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of Mr. CineMayo's Movie Chat. I'm Joe Mayo, and I'm here with Tim Allen tonight.
Hello.
Tom Hanyadi, who's here most of the time, can't join us tonight because he went to Chicago over the weekend to the Fest for Beatles fans. And now he's going to be having to work tonight as a result of that. So, because he was off during the weekend, he's got to work today. So that's why he's not here. But I'm sure that Tim and I will have stuff to talk about. And especially if, we get comments like this one here from Henry. It's Henry, or is it the real Henry? I don't know, Henry.
Hello, Henry.
That's the problem,
That's
like I've said
who you
many times before. Yeah. So we'll see what we could see. And I know that neither of us, we talked before the show here, has very much to talk about today. So this could be a short show depending on how the comments play out, and if there's anything to talk about. So the first thing, although there's not a lot of people here right now, I want to like to wait. Definitely got to find things to talk about while we're waiting for more people to show up. Hello, Elvin. That's got to be one of the things we do is wait for more people. My typing style is very distinct. Yeah, well, I know that somebody knows how to match that pretty well. Hello, Laura. How are you? It's going good. Thank you for saying hello. Going good. Today, back on the wagon. Today was a day of going back to my routine, an hour walking, no bread, no sugar, so we're doing good with that. Now we just got to keep it going for another 25 years, something like that. So let's see how that goes. Well, before, I guess I'll start this now. I'm wondering if anybody joins us and they'll know about it. Oh, Gray's here, 1951. We were just talking about you before the show went on, and we said maybe one day he'll surprise us and come up here. Right, Tim?
Yeah. Hello, Mike.
You're going to let us know, Mike. I can shoot you a link. Just let us know. We need help today. We only have the two of us. 3 is good. Anyway, and I was hoping you'd be here because I wanted to mention something. Ooh, me? Yeah, you. Okay, here we go. That's him. You seen the Elvis biopic 2021? We were discussing it a couple of days ago.
No, I never saw it.
Austin Butler.
I don't like biopics for the most part. They're just so inaccurate that they just bug me, and I don't.
Yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me too. And then Tom always says, "Well, you got to realize that's part of it."
Yeah,
not everybody does, and there's no excuse for it to not be accurate.
Well, the Queen one is the one that just I only saw like 10 minutes of it, and it infuriated me. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with biopics.
Yeah, that's the thing. People watch them and then they believe it exactly happened verbatim as it is.
Yeah.
My argument has always been that, why do they got to take dramatic license? Isn't a person's life, a famous person usually, isn't it usually dramatic enough? There's usually enough material to make a pretty dramatic story on its own.
Especially events that we know, or if you're a fan, like in the Queen one, they're recording Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and Freddie Mercury suddenly gets this beat, which turns into We Will Rock You, which was recorded 2 years before Crazy Little Thing Called Love. There's no reason for that. It's just stupid.
How about a favorite Ridley Scott film? I'm trying to think. Did he do Alien? Is that Alien?
Yeah, see, they're not.
I'll pick Alien.
I'm not sure I've ever seen one all the way through, to be honest. I'm not a big Ridley Scott guy, obviously.
I think that I hate to say it, but I think that the Colonel was bad. I think he deserved everything he got. The Colonel.
Yeah, no, he made Elvis a lot of money, but he made himself just as much money, if not more. And Elvis needed somebody to get as big as he was, but I don't know that Tom Parker was the right fit.
Yeah, see, Henry knows his queen, so he knows that it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. This all. I only saw like 10 minutes of it, and I was so infuriated. I'm like, I'm never gonna watch this. I think I own it. I think I found it for $1 at one point and bought it, but I've never watched it.
Well, on another subject, I have Turner Classic Movies, and I very seldom sit in to watch a movie. But while I was eating dinner just before I came on here, and it's a black and white film. Sometimes I see a movie that I never heard of or something, and not all of them are like popular ones, like Casablanca or Maltese Falcon, or Citizen Kane. Some of them are like weird grade B things or programmers that are not that popular. Anyway, it was a movie of a series that I never heard of before, Torchy Blaine. Have you ever heard of Torchy Blaine?
I've heard of it, but it's been a long time. I can't even remember what context is, but I have heard of it.
Where is Tom? We talked about that at the top of the show. Tom is he's got to work tonight because he went to the Beetle Fest this weekend. Torchy Blaine is Glenda Farrell, who's in a few horror movies of the early 30s, and she's always like a fast-talking, wisecracking female reporter type, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that they made a series of, I think, 7 films. It was either 7 or 9. I can't remember. Whatever. It's all short-term memory. And I was looking this up just an hour ago and turns out they were made from 1937 to 1939. And Barton McLean is in there as a policeman who's like, I don't know, her love interest or something, which is interesting. This is what I was hoping that Gray 1951, Mike, would be here. He says, I've seen one of the Torchy Blaine flicks, and I'd like to see more. Glenda Farrell was a cool actress. I was thinking of order because they're available. There was a Warner Archive series out on DVD, so I'm thinking of maybe getting it totally blind. But here's the thing, though. I was reading about it, and she plays a reporter. Torchy is the name and nickname. Mm-hmm. I think her name's supposed to be Teresa or something, but they hardly use it in the series. And it turns out that's the inspiration for Lois Lane. Torchy Blaine. How do you like that? So I wish Tom was here. Eat that, Tom. I can see that in a way,
Everything comes from somewhere. Very little is just made up in the wind. Everything gets inspired by something.
Yeah, there's one on right now. For the one I was watching was called Torchy Blaine in Chinatown, which sounds like, they have like movies like that with detectives and things like that. I think one of those, like Mr. Wong in Chinatown. And what was the one? The next one they were playing. I'm testing my short-term memory. Something about I don't think she ran for president, but it had something to do. It was like that. The title was something like Torchy Blaine does something, runs. Got to remember. Yeah, someday. I don't know when that's going to be. Considering I've got a million things to watch, a million records to hear, and only a short amount of time left to live, and a lot of things to do with my 3 YouTube channels. I don't know when. Colonel Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks in the movie. Yeah. Well, I just read something before this show that he's supposedly going to do a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something with Brad Pitt again, and I am not happy with that idea. Not happy at all. I'm a Tarantino fan, and I don't need more of that stuff. I wish they do a Kill Bill 3.
Yeah. He set that up for a sequel. He should do that, period. Should have done it 10 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's kind of I mean, you could do
Yeah,
almost anything today with the tricks, but I mean, was Uma Thurman in the right condition to do that? I don't
yeah,
know. If
yeah.
you're going to do it, you better
Yeah.
do it like yesterday. Well, yeah, thank you for your opinion, Uncle Arthur. Much appreciated. I don't agree, but hello. All right, so let's get on with if we picked anything up. Well, Tim said he didn't get anything. Well, I got something delivered. This is an upgrade on Blu-ray of the 1979 version of Nosferatu with Klaus Kinski in it, which is my favorite version, I think, of this story. A Werner Herzog version, and I think this is coming out again. This is like this was. I don't know what year this was because I can't really read it too well. Not bright enough here. 2014, this came out, and I think there's a new one coming out. I think. All right. Okay, that's interesting. So he's not doing it. Let's. I don't know. He. Okay, he wrote the script. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think and I remember, of course, Mike. You see, now if you were here now, we could talk at length about the different versions. But I'm telling you, you could hold your own here, and then some.
Yeah.
But anyway, because I know you did a little a piece on the new one, the Robert Eggers one, which I didn't like either. So, did I say hello to Douglas? I'm sorry if I didn't, Douglas. People talk about Tarantino like he's Sergio Leone or John Ford. Well, he copies everything they ever did. That's the whole point. He knows how to copy and paste. What is Klaus Kinski thought of as being a nut job? I don't know. I think he kind of was a little. I don't know. But anyway, all right. So that was the one thing that I got. And I know Tim's got quite a few views to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the one view that I had. I watched a movie that I've seen many times before. I'll talk about it a little bit. It's a film from 1958. It's a horror movie. What a surprise. And it's called Frankenstein 1970, made in 1958. And it says Boris Karloff, but he's not the monster. He's not a monster in here. This is a great poster. I love the poster. The movie doesn't hold up. Karloff in this movie plays a descendant of Baron Frankenstein. He's another Baron Frankenstein. In the future year of 1970, they were originally going to call it Frankenstein 1960, which is better because it looks more like 1960. Don't look, it just would have fit better. Anyway, and he basically has this great big castle. You've heard this kind of stuff before, right? And he has a television crew that's going to be doing a special documentary celebrating the 200 and something anniversary of Frankenstein creating the monster, which was supposedly really happened. And they want to film this documentary in his castle and use him in some of the inserts talking about it and stuff. And he really doesn't want them there, but he agrees because he wants to get the money to purchase an atomic reactor, because everything in the 50s is about atomic age monsters. And he is actually, unbeknownst to everybody else, working in the lab late one night, under several, bowels down in the dungeon, with a secret laboratory with this atomic reactor, and he had dug up the original monster and he's bringing it back to life. Now he realizes he's got pieces that he can use from all the people, the film crew. We got two young women that are in the film crew, the director, producer, cameraman. So he starts getting his eyes and he starts getting all. I love this movie. This movie is it's hated. It's considered terrible. Karloff, they always nail him because he's super hammy and over the top. And I say, when you're watching a movie like this, how the hell else are you going to handle this material? When you watch some of the dialogue, some of the scenes, you got to be theatrical. There's only no way to make it interest. What are you going to do with this? Just talk matter of factly like this? You know, he's got to be a little over the top. You got a crazy mad doctor played by Boris Karloff, the king himself. Secret passages, turning things to open up secret doors, a big gloomy castle, monster in the basement. What the heck else do you want if you're a horror fan? I don't know what people. I know as a kid, I probably watched this on TV around 1970. And when I saw it listed, it said Frankenstein 1970. And I thought, that's an old movie, Frankenstein, from Boris Karloff. It wasn't made this year in 1970. Because the thing is, they probably were playing it on TV in 1970. And the original Karloff one, the classic, was made in 31. But I thought, I was so disappointed. A lot of monster kids who grew up with these movies was very disappointed when they saw this, because there's a lot of talk, very little monster stuff that you want. But what there is, I just have a blast with. And I like a guilty pleasure, although I hate using that. For example, here, I always liked Frankenstein 1970. Karloff emotes beautifully. You will live again, Shooter. You will live again. The guy's named Shooter. German. And comes down to a lot of scenes from that. Could be an actor. Like when he's working in the lab and his assistant is like, finds the secret passage and he hears somebody's coming down the stairs and he's like, who is it? He shuts the lights out. Who is it? Somebody found him. And he turns on the lights and it's his butler, Shooter. And he goes, my poor Shooter. Why did it have to be you? Because he wants to be using his brain. Love it. Anyway. Hello, Kimba.
Hey,
Whoa.
Kimba.
This a $4.99 from Henry. Wow. Chaplain Karloff, absolutely. Shadow of a Doubt. I do like that one. That's the Joseph Cotton one.
Yeah, no, I like all Hitchcock, but Shadow of a Doubt's great. I don't like it as much as some people do. Some people, it's their favorite. It's not my favorite, but I like it.
What movie did I watch the most in my life? I think for me, it's got to be either what I said there, 1931 Frankenstein or Planet of the Apes. I think are the two most watched movies. How about you? Do you have one, Tim, that you know?
Well, the movie I've probably seen the most in my life is King Kong, because for about 4 years in my life, it was on every single Sunday. So
yeah,
that's like 200 times right there.
Yeah, I remember they used to play it all the time. Wasn't it like a week or two they played it every day or something?
They played it. It was, I forget which station. It was WNEW or WOR. One of them had a Sunday morning movie or something, they called it. It either came out at 11 or noon every Sunday. And it was King Kong every single week.
I have not seen this.
God. And I'd watch it. I'd watch it.
The fact that you met Christopher Lee is crazy. He had such a cool presence with an awesome voice. Was he intimidating? Well, the thing about Christopher Lee is, God rest his soul, he's very full of himself. I'm Christopher Lee, and I did not just do horror films, that kind of thing. But I met him twice. I met him in 1999 at the Virgin, I can't believe it, mega store, record store. Of all places, Christopher Lee in the Manhattan in the record store. And I got his autograph, and it was he had some problems like with the crowd and stuff like that. But I got his autograph and a photo with him. And then shortly thereafter, a few days later, he was appearing at a horror movie convention. And I was there, and I just happened to be at that too. So I met him a second time and got another second autograph. And I said, Mr. Lee, I saw you at the Virgin Megastore the other night. He went, a bit chaotic, wasn't it? And like that, and I said, no, it was right for me. It was great to see you. Anyway, I do like Frenzy, but it's nowhere near as a masterpiece. I don't think for him.
No, I think I would rank it towards the bottom of Hitchcock's films, to be honest.
Yeah, it's good, but I think there's a lot better in my opinion.
I think most are better.
And of course, if I'm going to really make a serious film effort to see a lot of movies, I should be seeing a lot more Hitchcock, no doubt about it. I mean, I've seen a good amount, but there's a lot more, especially the early ones.
Yeah, there might be one or two silents that I haven't seen, but I've seen over 90% of Hitchcock's films easily, probably 95%.
Hi, George. Oh, good crowd here tonight. My most watched movie is either Jaws or Goodfellas. I knew Jaws would make an appearance. Tim was saying that before we went on.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Jaws is also one of my most watched. That's in the top 3 or so, 4, top 5. Yeah, $1 Million Movie the whole week was the same movie. Yeah, that was Channel 9, WOR. That's my memory. Yes, I do like Sunset Boulevard. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, I saw the play when they made it into a musical in London with Petula Clark in the lead. Very good.
I like that movie. Hi, Lizzie. Thank you for saying hello on the movie show. Thank you. She likes my shirt. She's a Monster fan. Listen, did you go to the Chicago Fest? Mikey Arugula was going to go, but then he wound up getting sick just before. Yeah, so he couldn't go. And it's a good thing that I was almost going to go, and I would have got screwed too because I was going on the plane with him, and he had everything on his card and his arrangement.
Yeah.
So, Dracula, Prince of Darkness is a great Christopher Lee film. I do like the Dracula series. Again, it's not one of my favorites. My favorites. I don't love Horror of Dracula, the first one. It's just called Dracula in England. Horror of Dracula in the U.S. I like Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. I like a lot, and I like Scars of Dracula, which nobody really likes. Yeah, that Christopher Lee impression actually wasn't half bad. It was a bit chaotic, wasn't it? And then my friend Lou was there when we went to the Virgin Mega store, the record store. My friend Lou was like one of the first online. He's an interesting looking guy. So he went there, and then he went around the second time, and he came around the second time, and he goes, Christopher Lee goes, "You've been around before." Like he remembered him. Yeah, sorry I didn't get to see you. I really wanted to meet Beatley Tone, and it wasn't there. I actually like Dracula AD 72 also. Man, we had a good conversation on here. I'm not going to let you forget it, Mike. You're going to be here one day. But anyway, yeah. The only thing about that movie that I don't know, they shouldn't have kept him confined to the church. Dracula is like, he's reborn in modern era, 1972, and he takes refuge in a church. And he's in the church the whole time. He never leaves the church. Doesn't go out on the streets of LA or he's in England. He doesn't go on the London streets or anything. And I'm like, what's the point? I think a much better 1972 modern day vampire film is Blackula. And they really do it well. When I was a kid, the CBC always played the Dead End Kids and the Andy Hardy films. I like the Andy Hardy films too. I saw some of those.
Yeah, we had, I think it was PIX on Saturdays, maybe it was Sundays, showed Dead End Kids or Bowery Boys or whatever you want to call them every weekend.
Yeah, the Bowery Boys. I hit up Flashback Weekend the previous week and got to meet director Joe Dante. Now, Joe Dante, I know, likes Frankenstein, 1970. I know he likes this movie. Is there a movie either of you enjoyed that you wish had gotten a sequel? Now, I know there are, but I can't think.
No. I'm not a sequel person. There might be one, but
I know there were some that I'm like, oh man, I'd like there to be a sequel, but I can't. I can't always pluck them out of my thin air when I want to get them in my mind. If I think of any as the show goes on. Yeah, The Devil Rides Out. That's a Hammer film with Christopher Lee. That's quite good. I agree with you. Yeah, Blackula. People are put off by the goofy title, but it's really good. William Marshall plays the vampire, and he's very sympathetic. And he's doesn't want to be a vampire, and he's looking for his lost love. The sequel isn't as good. Scream, Blackula, Scream is the name of it. It's still worth seeing.
But it
Once.
has Pam Grier, so that has one thing
Yeah,
going.
Pam Grier, right? Yeah, it's true. I love Pam Grier for sure. Joe, I know you don't like Nosferatu 2024, but did you like how they actually made all the historically accurate, made him look like Vlad the Impaler with the mustache? No, I thought you couldn't see him at all. You couldn't make out his image. It was kind of obscured. I didn't like his voice. I didn't like anything about the movie except the fact that it had some atmosphere. Some of the shots were nice. I really didn't like most of the movie for most things about it. But there's a movie out there where they also make him a little more like the book. It's known in English as, again, the Christopher Lee movie. It's a Spanish co-production. It's called Count Dracula in English, but the real Spanish title is El Conde Dracula. Oh no, Jess Franco, the terrible director Jess Franco made it. However, it's his best work, I think, and that's not saying much though. But that's probably his best work. And Klaus Kinski's in it, playing Renfield. You got Klaus Kinski as Renfield, Christopher Lee as Dracula with the mustache and looking historically accurate. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Peter Cushing. Christopher Lee is the only classic horror actor I met. I didn't meet any of the others. It's too bad. I had one opportunity. I was 13 years old in 1975, and Christopher Lee was at the famous Monsters convention, horror convention in New York City. At that age, at that time, I was heavily into Monsters, but I wasn't into Peter Cushing or Hammer then. So even if I'd gone there, I probably wouldn't likely even got his autograph. But yeah, me too. This is one of those questions. Whenever people ask me this question, I would really have to think about it. Really have to think about it. What I would ask Karloff. I Monster is a decent Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing film. I got a lot of stuff here. Tim talking about. I didn't expect this much horror. I Monster is actually the British version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But they don't call him Jekyll and Hyde. They call it like Dr. Marlowe and Mr. Blake or something. They changed the name. They don't say Jekyll and Hyde. And that's really what that is. And it's not British. It is British. It's not Hammer. I think it's Amicus. It's not a Hammer film, but it is British. It's okay. I don't think it's very good. Sorry to disagree with you so much. Yeah, I got to meet Roy Scheider and Richard Dreyfuss. I met a lot of people. I don't know where to start, actually. Al Pacino, Charlton Heston. I'm thinking of the big names. Ernest Borgnine, Bruce Stern. Julia Adams from Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah. I met Barbara Steele twice. Yeah, Mike is a very big Barbara Steele fan.
Wow. Good. Cool. That's really cool. I used to meet people all the time just in my daily life when I lived in Washington, D.C. It was weird. But because I'm not one to go out and seek people. But, I'd be working and there would be Sandra Bullock. You
in that Sandra Bullock story. I knew it was her right away.
Well, it's one of my favorite stories. I
heard her voice. I knew it was her.
Yeah, no. I knew. But
some people here might not have heard the story before.
I worked at I worked at Whole Foods before I worked at Dean and Duca. I have more Dean and Duca stories, but at Whole Foods, I was the bulk buyer. I was going through a divorce and I was very unhappy, and they made me the bulk buyer, and I was glad because it just gave me one thing to do and concentrate on it, and I could be the best I could be and not think about work or my life and all of this stuff. And one day I'm filling the rolled oats, which is like a 50-pound bag. It's this heavy bag of rolled oats. You got to put in this little bin, and it's heavy, and it's a full bag. And I hear this voice, "Excuse me, can you help me?" And I recognize the voice immediately, and I just froze. And then I'm like, just give me 1 second. And I finished my rolled oats. I didn't look up. I finished my rolled oats. I put the top down. I put the thing back in. I rolled my bag up. Then I looked up, and yep, it was Sandra Bullock. And she was with Matthew McConaughey. He was standing off in the distance. And she asked me if I knew what ghee was. And I'm like, yeah, it's clarified butter. And she's like, do you have it? I'm like, yeah. And she followed me over, and I showed her 2 sizes, and she bought the big one and thanked me very much. And I met Sandra Bullock.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now
But no, she's gorgeous. And I always thought she was tall, and she's not. Yeah, she always just looked really tall in film. And she's not.
Well, wait. First of all, Lizzie says you could make some awesome scrapbooks with pics of all the greats you met over the years. Just casually have it out on the coffee table for company to browse. We don't have company in this house. We don't have company. But I made a series, if you want to check it out. I don't know if you checked it out on this channel, where I did celebrity autographs, and I have a book. I have books of all the photos, and I have a lot more. I only got through a few videos. I made 3, 4 videos, something like that. I got a lot more to go through. Woody Allen, I'm trying to think of all the big, the biggies. I don't know. There's so many that I can't even think about it. I'm so happy to say, Jonathan Harris. Oh dear, Lost in Space. Everybody from Lost in Space except for Guy Williams. The whole cast. The meathead, Rob Reiner. Still a meathead. No, but he was very nice when I met him. All right. If you had to choose one Western as your favorite, what would it be? Tim, do you have one?
Well, yeah, you don't like it, but yeah, The Searchers for me.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good choice. Everybody likes Searchers, but
the best Western ever made, I think.
But my favorite one, and it reminds me, that's another movie I watched for the umpteenth time today that I forgot to mention with my friend Anthony, is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is, I consider it a Western. Some people say it's more like a buddy film or a comedy. So at places, I think it's a Western. But that one, I also like High Noon a lot. Those are my favorite. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I want to check that out again because I did like that when I saw that one time.
Yeah, no, that's good.
For Dracula, for me, it's Bela Lugosi all the way with Christopher Lee second. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
I like the way that Mike has to make sure he has to put 1960, which is unfortunate that they make you do that these days.
Yeah.
The Unforgiven, 1960 version with Burt Lancaster and Audrey Hepburn. John Huston.
I haven't seen that, believe it or not. I need to.
Neither. I liked the Clint Eastwood Unforgiven when I saw it, but I don't remember it. I just know I remember I liked it. Yeah, I got to go along with that. I think Basil Rathbone is Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, pretty much he's my guy. That could be another, because I was doing the Sherlock Holmes films, and now I can just go into without having to rewatch them. I rewatched the first 3, I think, and I did new reviews for them. Then I realized I saw the whole series at one point, and I got them stocked, so I could do my retro review series and get them all done. Oh yeah, meeting Linda and Yoko wasn't too bad. And Patty Harrison, Patty Boyd also. So it's 3 of Beatle wives. Which is not bad. Yeah, John Huston, Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Hello, Mike. Good word. Well, Patricia Heaton. What else? Oh, you're the one we used to talk about Patricia Heaton all the time. Yeah. Jeremy Brett. Obviously, I never saw Jeremy Brett, but I know he's supposed to be a great Sherlock Holmes, and there you go. Hello, Michael Jackson fanatic. Have you seen the silent film documentary Hollywood hosted by James Mason? No. haven't
No,
seen it.
but he did a lot. I mean, he hosted the Unknown Chaplin and probably the Unknown Keaton and the Unknown I can't think of his name, but I could be wrong about that. It's been a long time since I've seen him.
Tim, do you want to tell us about some of the movies you've watched? This is the last show.
Sure, why not? I'm gonna start out with this. This is not what I expected. I don't know what I expected, but I loved it. Have you ever seen this, Joe? We're No Angels.
Was that remade?
I don't
I think it
know.
was remade. No, I didn't see
Michael
that one.
Curtiz directed this. It has Humphrey Bogart, Aldo Ray, and Peter Ustinov, and they're all fantastic. This is just, these guys are escaped convicts, and they wind up being taken in by this guy that's family and like welcomed to repair the roof, and they're invited to stay for Christmas and all this stuff. And they start out going to rob them, and they turn out like saving the family. They turn out to be like the three nicest guy you'd ever want to meet, and they started out wanting to kill them. And it's a charming little film. It's great. I love this thing. It's highly recommended. It just
Mike likes it.
Yeah, it's surprising. You don't expect these guys to, be the way they are. It's great. And then, speaking of James Mason, The Man in Between. This is your favorite genre, Joe. This is Kino Lorber.
Yeah.
And this is a film, an early 60s film. And James Mason is like a spy, and it's set in. I have no memory anymore. It's not set in. It's set in Berlin. I knew it wasn't Vienna. And this is made by saying, why can't I think of anybody's name today? Because I'm under pressure. Carol Reed. This is kind of the film. He may have done one in between, but this is kind of the film he did after The Third Man, and it's that kind of film. It's really good, and I loved Claire Bloom in it. She's his love interest, and you wish she wouldn't be, because he's not a great guy, but he turns into a better guy as the movie goes along. But I'm still not sure he's ever a great guy. But a really good, interesting thriller kind of post World War II espionage kind of film. Really interesting. And then because I watched Claire Bloom, and I spent the next day, yes, it's a very good comedy film. I spent the next day watching the commentary and learning all about this film. That I went back and rewatched this. The box is in storage, sorry, but Charlie Chaplin's Limelight, starring Charlie Chaplin and Claire Bloom, which is why I watched it again. And I never liked this film until now. Now I kind of adore this film. This film is very underrated. It's one of Chaplin. It's the second to last film that Chaplin's in. He made one more after he made The King of New York, which is the last film he's in, but he's not in it. And it's about an old vaudeville guy who's washed up, and he meets Claire Bloom, who wants to kill herself, and takes her in. And
you have to say unalive herself now.
Okay, yeah. Okay, she wants to unalive herself. And he takes her in, and they become like a team, and she falls in love with him, even though he's 40 years older than she is. And Buster Keaton's in it a little bit towards the end. That's all I remembered about this film is Buster Keaton, and I thought he was in the whole thing. He's only in it at the end, and it's just sad. It's heartbreaking, and it's a really good film. The music is a little over the top because Chaplin wrote it, and that's what Chaplin likes to do with music. But in that, very good film. I highly recommend that. And then because I watched Chaplin, I'm like, okay, I rewatched City Lights. Haven't seen
that
it
one. I know, and I love that.
a long time. Now, The reason I wanted to watch it is I switched out DVD player or Blu-ray players, and the one I had in there would not adjust screen size. This company put these out as widescreen. Somebody short and squashed, and the DVD player would not fix that. And I swapped out DVD players, and this one will, of course. So
there's certain certain TVs. I always make sure that I get a TV that does that.
Well, between my TV and my Blu-ray player, they wouldn't do it. So I didn't want to watch everybody short and fat. So I haven't watched these movies in a couple of years, at least because of that. And I watched a couple movies that did do that. And anyway, fantastic movie. If you've never seen it, it's funnier than I remember. I remember it being heartbreaking and sad, and I still think maybe the best ending ever shot on film.
I remember the end being kind of emotional and sad or something. With
but it's a heartbreaking film, but it's way funnier than you think. I mean, stuff like this. This guy's trying to unalive himself, and he's drunk, and Chaplin's trying to save him, and he puts a noose tied around a rock, and he ducks out. He accidentally ducks out of the noose and throws the rock over, and in goes Chaplin. It's great.
Sounds like the Flying Deuces with Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, it's so obviously City Lights is a great film, but I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I do like it, and I have it on an old Image DVD, and I was really impressed with it. He made after the talkies. I mean, he still went right to silent.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to say about it. It's not a silent film. Everybody always considers this a silent film. It has a score. It has sound effects.
I consider it a silent film.
And when people are talking in microphones, you can hear their voices. You can't understand their voices. That's on purpose. But he wrote the music for it. Once again, he wrote the music for that. He put in all the sound effects. And so it's not a silent film. There's no talking in it, but it's not a silent film. There's sound effects, And then because I'm on a Chaplin kick now, I rewatched The Gold Rush, and this is the last film I watched.
I've never seen. Classic.
Gold Rush is great. There's two versions of this. They're promoting the 1942 version, which has no intertitles, and Chaplin narrates it. I don't like that version, but the 1925 version is on here as well, which is the original version, and it's not as good as City Lights, but it's a really good film. It took him a year and a half to make this film, longer than City Lights. City Lights took him forever. This took even longer, but really, really good film, and it's got some classic scenes in it that everybody knows. The Dance of the Dinner Rolls is in this film, and Chaplin boiling and eating the shoe is in this film. It was Chaplin's favorite film. It's not mine. Of his, it's not mine, but really good film. And I haven't decided if I'm going to watch the 1942 version now. He changed the ending. He had, for like 10 or 12 years, he had an on and off affair with his co-star in this, Georgia Hale. And at the end, they get together and they kiss, and they don't stop. And he's waving the photographer away. And he cut that scene out, probably because it's Georgia Hale, which is a shame, which is why I don't like the 1942 version. I like the original ending. Anyway, there you go. That's enough of that.
That was a pretty good selection.
They all fell on the floor.
So anyway, Henry wants to know what your thoughts, if any, are on the criticism that Wes Anderson makes the same film over and over again. Do you agree?
No. In what way? How is I can't even think of any of the names of his films. How is the Steve Zissou film anything like I can't think of any films.
All right, the answer is no.
But they're not. None of his films are alike. I will agree that a lot of times his actors aren't acting; they're more posing. They're more posing for stills, which is what he does. That's what he does for a living, and that's how he makes films.
Well, based on your recommendation, Eric's going to watch We're No Angels.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good. I really enjoyed that film a lot.
And of course, I haven't seen the Robert Downey Jr. Biopic about Chaplin, which I know he won. Did he win the award for that? I think he
I don't remember. I can't remember. I finally watched it once. Again, I don't like biopics, but I think I eventually watched it at one point. It was okay, but it wasn't. It wasn't amazing. I didn't think.
And yeah, there was a film with De Niro and Sean Penn also called We're No Angels, but I don't think it was a remake. Limelight is great. Some parts go on a little too long, but it's certainly worth seeing. Made shortly before Chaplin left America. Nigel Bruce, Dr. Watson, that is, plays a role in it. The Robert Downey Jr. Biopic is pretty good. I hear you, Henry, but on a live. The man who shot Liberty Valance, right? It's a very, very good. Love John Wayne films.
Yeah.
18 John Wayne Blu-rays. Donovan's Reef. I'm just saying.
I've seen Donovan's Reef. I don't remember it. I
think Chaplin prefers the 42 Gold Rush.
Well, he does. And it's partly because of the ending. And like I said, he narrated it. And I still have, I don't know if I'm going to watch it. There's a 3 short film thing that they put out. And I think he's taken all the intertitles out of that and narrated all the films too, which I'd rather watch the originals.
Eric says City Lights is a silent film in terms of not having synchronized sound recorded while filming. The opening scene has a politician making a speech to the sound of a kazoo.
Well, wait. There's a lot. Like any film made in Asia doesn't have synchronized sound. Neither do most German films. They do all the sound later. They're not silent films. That's not recording the sound while you're making the film does not make it a sound or a silent film. That's not what makes it a sound or silent film. If you've ever seen a Hong Kong or a kung fu movie, they're all shot silent, every one of them. So they're not silent films, though.
Well, I thought it was silent, but I haven't seen it in a long, long time, so I got to see it.
It's not, because a silent film was just shipped with no sound, and the guy playing the piano or organ or whatever they had came up with music on it. Sometimes he had cue sheets, but this has a soundtrack. This has a strip on the side, and it did in the beginning with sound, and there are synchronized sound effects, and there's music that. In every scene, and it's a sound film. There's just no dialogue. There's a scene where Chaplin gets a whistle stuck in his throat, and every time he hiccups, he's drunk. He goes, and the whistle blows, and this goes on and on and on. That's in the film,
Yeah, but they did that even with the silent movies. They did that. They could do sound effects and things like that.
Yeah, but the difference is somebody in the theater had to do that. Somebody in the theater would have had to blow the whistle while they were.
Yeah, but would you say that that's because I got to see it again, but I did see it, but not in a long time. Do you think that's kind of like semantics? Like, in other words, okay, so the sound strip is on the film, but like, was it fair to say that he wasn't doing sound talkie films for that the way they were being made in 1931? Like, by that time, everybody was. I think it's 31, right? That movie. By then, everybody was doing talkies.
No. He did it. He did it on purpose to rebel against sound. His next film, had talking in it, but only machines talk. If you watch that film closely, the next film is Modern Times, and only machines talk. People do not talk in that film. Only machines talk.
Okay.
Again, it's interesting, but it's a sound film. You hear his footsteps when he's walking. You hear, just nobody talks.
Man, I've heard things like that in silent films. They can do certain noises, cars, explosions, footsteps. I don't know.
Well,
Well, like you said, he's rebelling.
now that stuff's been added now. Back in the day, you didn't know. They didn't have a soundtrack, so they couldn't. There is no soundtrack on the film.
Okay, well, I think, in a way to get around it, I think it's fair enough to say what you said yourself. He was rebelling against talkies and the new sound films. He was trying to make an old silent film.
That was his disguise. He explains it in an interview in one of these things. He didn't want the tramp to talk, and it's not for the reasons that a lot of people think. They didn't want to hear his voice. He didn't know what voice to use for the tramp, but that didn't matter. The tramp was international. The tramp was known in practically every country in the world, and he did not want the tramp to speak, because if he did the tramp in English, then every country that didn't speak English wouldn't know what the tramp was saying. So he didn't want the tramp to speak because it was such a huge character.
Well, I can understand that. Look, Harpo never spoke.
Yeah.
Harpo Marx and Jackie Gleason had a character called the Poor Soul who never spoke.
Yeah.
I get that. The tramp.
Yeah. So that's why the tramp didn't speak. He never did. In the Great Dictator, Chaplin pays a barber. He's basically playing the tramp, but he's not the tramp, and he makes that explicit in the film because the barber talks. He's not the tramp.
Well, Eric is here. I wanted to ask him. I heard something about is there going to be another classic flicks, Laurel and Hardy restoration job called the Features films or something like Pardon Us is going to be in there, and Blockheads and some other feature films. Have you heard about this? This is new, right? Now, I can't answer my favorite sitcom. It's impossible. I know every time I know this has come up before because I give the same answers all the time. So I'm going to say the ones in no particular order, or maybe chronological order. I Love Lucy, The Honeymooners, The Odd Couple, The King of Queens, All in the Family. Those are among my favorites, sitcoms. Least favorite, Married with Children. I hate that thing. It's probably worse than that, but I know I hate Married with Children.
Yeah, my least favorite I probably have never seen. So, how would you know?
And I do like Seinfeld, and I do like Curb Your Enthusiasm, although Curb Your Enthusiasm is way several seasons past its expiration date.
I haven't seen it in a long time. My favorite sitcom might be, believe it or not, Arrested Development. It was just so clever. It was just a fantastic show. Didn't last nearly long enough.
When you ask dubbing or subtitles, for me, it depends on the film. Because for the most part, I like watching foreign films for the most part. Like if I was going to watch something like Belle de Jour, I remember watching that, Louis Buñuel. Watching his films, I like to watch them foreign with the subtitles. But if I'm watching the Godzilla flicks from the 60s, I get a kick out of watching them dubbed in English. Some of the silly ones like King Kong versus Godzilla and some of those things. It depends what the movie is, really, for me. But the newest Godzilla that came out, Godzilla -1, I like it subtitled. I watched it subtitled, and I don't think I'd want to see that one in English. Don't ask. It's more serious. The original Gojira, I like to see subtitled.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, if it's a serious film, I'd rather see subtitled. But if I'm watching a kung fu movie, I'd rather see it dubbed probably because it's silly and I don't want to read. If I'm watching a silly movie, I don't really want to read. You know.
Hmm. Okay, Seinfeld. Well, the only one I've ever seen is the one with Peter Lorre, the Fritz Lang. It's the only one I've ever seen. M. How about you, Tim?
Oh
You seen M?
well, I didn't catch the question.
It was M. Which version of M?
Oh, I've only ever seen the original, I think. But I mean, I think that's one of the best films ever made. So I can't picture another film being better. It's one of the best films ever made. It's just fantastic.
Uh the three Sergio Leone films with Clint Eastwood was shot silent when he started Hang 'em High. A critic sarcastically said Eastwood makes his first talkie.
But yeah,
Uh,
again, a lot of countries shoot their films silent.
I don't know about the original, the Dracula with Bela Lugosi. As far as I know, it was never with music. I could be wrong, even foreign. I don't know, but maybe foreign. I don't had it. I don't think so. But then later on, they had who was it? Philip Glass who put on music, and I hated it with the music.
Yeah, there's a couple of scores. If you buy it now, there's a couple of scores that are on it if you want them. But you don't have to have them. That's the good thing. You can just.
Eric agrees. City Lights not a true silent because it has synchronized sound effects and music.
Yeah.
I was only focusing on the lack of speech. Well, that's another thing. I can.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. When he this is the bottom line. When when people talk, do they talk? And if they do, is it subtitles? If it is, it's silent. I don't want to know nothing.
No, that's not true. But you're wrong about this, Eric. The boss doesn't say, "Hey, get to work." He says it into a microphone, and they hear it through a speaker. That's a machine talking. You don't ever hear two people talking together. There's machines, intercoms talk in that movie. That's machines talking. People do not talk in that movie. And that's again on purpose.
Okay, there's going to be a volume 2 of Laurel and Hardy, the definitive restoration with shorts and features. I'm glad to hear that, but I did see a list somewhere where I just saw features listed, only features. I don't know if it's changed. If they're going to do Blu-ray, I want all of them to be restored onto Blu-ray. All of them. Not just, I can't stand when they do that. You know.
Well, some of it's different companies make different films, and you have the rights to this one.
In the case of those, though, they had all the Laurel and Hardys came out, the Vivendi ones or whatever, all came out on the Hal Roach ones. They all came out on DVD.
Well, they're all the same. They're all the same company. Like if they put out every Laurel and Hardy movie on, or it doesn't matter who, like the ones in public domain, they might not do because they're public domain, and there's a couple owned by other companies.
Again, I'm not talking about the public domain ones. I could be wrong, but I'm saying all the ones that they put them out all on DVD. Do you have it? The Essential Laurel and Hardy in
I
DVD. Don't. It's all the talkies. They're all of them are on there. All the Hal Roach stuff, and then now they're putting them on Blu-ray. Presumably they have them all, I'm guessing, but they only put some on the first volume. Like they may make them in volumes, but as long as they're going to do all of them, that's all I care. I don't care if it's one volume or 5 volumes, as long as they all come out that way.
Nobody likes this, but it's the truth. Is that volumes? They use the first volume to fund the second volume. They use the second volume to fund the third volume. So if it doesn't sell, then it usually stops. That's the truth of the industry these days.
I'm not going to get into that because I've seen too many times that didn't. It happened. It does happen. It's happened. But I've seen times when it doesn't happen with lesser things, and still they made them all. Like, if people are dedicated enough, if they really want it out there, they'll take a little loss or I've seen it happen. The Bowery Boys, we talked about them before. Warner Archives put out all 48 of them. They put like, I don't know how many, I think 4
Well,
volumes.
that's different on DVD. DVD is cheap. It's a lot more expensive to scan it into 4K, and that's another
And
story. That's
it's not always a surefire thing. People think that the companies think that just because A didn't sell, that means B, C, and D won't sell.
well
Sometimes people
that
prefer B, C, and D in certain
I,
sitcoms or
I'm
albums.
not arguing with that, but corporate executives don't care about that. They care
And they're
about
stupid.
the figures they can see on a piece of paper, and
I
their
think, and they're
stockholders,
stupid.
and that's all they have to answer their stockholders, and that's
And
the
they're
way.
stupid. And the reason I'm getting so emotional about it is for this reason.
I'm afraid that stupidity always brings out the worst in me.
Stupidity?
Yes, stupidity.
Yeah, that's a stupid freaking. They look at like Love American Style. They put out like season 1. It didn't do anything, so they don't put any more. Everybody likes the other seasons better. You know,
Well,
it doesn't mean that the other ones wouldn't sell better.
they
Uh,
they don't care about that. Sorry, but that's
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not denying it happened. I'm saying it's stupid and wrong. It doesn't mean the other ones aren't going to sell. If you put out Ringo Sentimental Journey, it doesn't do well, and then you put out Buku's the Blues, doesn't do too well. Why put Ringo out? Well, because Ringo will sell. You know, I'm just that's an offbeat example. I don't know if that applies, but things like that. It's like, anyway, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Anyway, I do not like Married with Children, and the reason I don't like it is because it's too dysfunctional. The world was coming to an end around that time. I think they hate each other too much, the family, and I don't like the way they interact with each other. I hate that about that show. That's why I don't like it. And before you say anything, all in the family, yeah, they had their ups and downs, but they loved each other, and Meathead and Archie really loved each other. Well, Archie loved the Meathead. I'm always try to be a jump ahead of you. You met Robert Vaughn, okay? Man from Uncle. No, I didn't meet him. Did I meet any James Bond actors? I don't think so. I almost met Sean Connery, but I have to catch a plane, and he walked away. It's like, all right.
you never met George Lazenby?
Yeah. You talking about Jason Bateman?
Yeah, well, I was talking about Arrested Development. He was really good in that. Everybody was really good in Arrested Development.
Also, The Great Dictator was made in 1940, and if he made a silent movie in 40, people wouldn't accept it.
He made one in 37, and they accepted it. I don't know. Only 3 years, you know.
Yeah, I like Everybody Loves Raymond also. It's another show I like. Yeah, sitcom. Chef's Kiss to I Love Lucy. With subtitles, you can hear the inflection of the actors as they emote through words. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, some of them I like, and sometimes I don't, and I still believe that your eyes shouldn't. Even though I do accept subtitles and prefer them in most serious foreign films. I don't think we're meant to be like even now. We're not meant to be looking down at things are going on, and we're looking down and reading. And it depends how fast you can read, too, and how you're missing some of the action if you're always reading. I really believe that.
Exactly. There's a film I love by Jacques Tati. It's called Playtime. It's a French film. There's very little dialogue in it. There is dialogue in it, but there's very little in it. But what's in it isn't important. And when it was shown worldwide, it never had subtitles. And like 15, 20 years ago, I don't know, they put it out on DVD or Blu-ray for the first time, whatever, and they added subtitles. And I hated that because there's nothing important being said in this film. And they're distracting you from watching it, which is what you're supposed to do in that film. You're not supposed to read it. You're supposed to watch it. Whatever people are saying isn't important.
There's a list of some things. Hello, James Farley.
Hey, James.
Chaplin goes to smoke in the bathroom. Then the two-way TV shows the boss.
Yeah.
It sounds like a real voice.
No, but it's what Chaplin is hearing through the speaker in the microphone. It's not. You never see a boss talking to somebody in a one interaction. It doesn't happen. It's all voices and microphones and machines. That whole film is about machines. I mean, Chaplin becomes a machine at one point. He goes down into the machine and he becomes part of the machine. That's the whole point of that film, is turning people into machines.
Hello, Cherry Carter. Did you like Metropolis with the rock soundtrack, Freddie Mercury, John Anderson, Kim Carnes, etc.? For me, I've never seen Metropolis, and it's a sin because for 10 years or so, I kind of.
Yes. Let me tell you a little about that film. I like that version of the film, but I do not like the soundtrack. But a long time ago, I made a film. I called it Pink Floyd's Metropolis, and you can sync it to the wall. And they talk about, the Wizard of Oz being able to be synced with Dark Side of the Moon. This is 10 times better. You sync it up just right to that version. It's the exact length. It works. So many scenes work perfectly. It's my favorite way to watch Metropolis. Is I made a DVD of that version, and it's got the wall as a soundtrack, and it's great.
Well, it's high time I watch Metropolis and many other films that I have.
Yes.
In the 40s, Hal Roach received a settlement from MGM, which distributed his films 27 to 38. Part of the settlement was the sale of rights to some of his features, including 3 Laurel and Hardy. Okay.
Yeah.
Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour was released on DVD. They released season 3 first. Yeah, I always email Shout Factory asking for Bachelor Father. 8 years later, I'm still waiting. It's sad when I can't stand that they put so much stuff out that you really like you want, but it's not popular. It's not like Friends, or something like that. And isn't that with John Forsythe? Isn't Bachelor Father?
Yes.
Is that the one he's in?
Yes.
Oh, maybe not because don't they have an Asian? He has an Asian butler or something.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe not that also. And what annoys me is too, like I really want to watch all the episodes. I want to own all the episodes of Room 222, and that's another one they put out. I think they put out the first season and the second. I think there are 5, and the quality's not that great on them, but they put them out. And now I hear that I think they were owned by Fox originally. Now Disney has it. Right. You're never going to see Disney put out Room 222. You can forget it.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yes, I did. The guy that played Jaws, Richard Kiel. Yeah, famous actor for those types of movies. But when I said I never met an actor who played James Bond himself. Did Woody Allen play James Bond in Casino Royale in the comedy? No. Technically, that would be somebody, James Bond. In November, the reboot of The Running Man is being released. Glenn Powell in the Arnold role. It's going to be more faithful to Stephen King's book. Well, there you go.
Great.
Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us. We got a good crowd here today. I want to thank everybody. This is really a good show today. Maybe it's Tom. Tom, we don't need you. I'm just kidding. Just a joke. We need you. Now, see, I got season 1 of Beretta. That's another example. Season 1 of Beretta doesn't have the fantastic theme song, Eye of the Sparrow by Sammy Davis Jr. And so we're not getting that, I hate that,
It's very different from season 2, too. They rebooted it after season 1. They changed a lot.
Did you know the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond, Peter Boyle, was good friends with Lennon? Yes, I did know that. He was the best man. Yes, indeed. Modern Times, 1936.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know this. Late
Yeah, I
36.
doubt men are reading subtitles in a Bridget Bardot movie. Well, I was reading it in a Catherine Deneuve. How do you say her name? I wonder why Lennon never asked Bridget Bardot out. He wanted Cynthia to look like her. True. I don't know what to say. You'll have to ask him in the next life. I love Frasier. It's funny, but I really don't care much for Cheers. I'll go the other way around. I'd rather watch Cheers than Frasier. But I like Frasier enough because my girlfriend likes it. I started getting into it a little bit.
I like Cheers more than he does, maybe, but I like Frasier better, I think.
The three Laurel and Hardy films, The Devil and Lost. I'm talking about Fried Devil's Brother. Are you talking?
The ones he sold, probably is what he's talking about.
Here we go. This comes up every once in a while too. What's your opinion of colorizing black and white movies? Eddie says he's not for it.
I'm not for it most of the time.
Me too.
But if it's a B movie and they would have filmed it in color if they had the money, I'm not so against it, you know. But you know, a couple of films I really like colorized, but there aren't very many.
What the hell is this? Is weird. I've always been against it on principle. Don't ever colorize a black and white movie, and I'm still kind of against it. But over the years, the last several decades, they've gotten a lot better at it. If they do real state of the art, I've seen them when they colorized the Munsters episode, one of the Munsters episodes. Mm-hmm. And it looks really freaking good. They did a good job with it. I still like the Munsters in black and white. That we're trying also to emulate the feel of the old monster movies in black and white. Like A Hard Day's Night, I think is great in black and white. I think it belongs in black and white. But yet, if they could do a really great color and it looks like the real thing and it doesn't look like they colored it with crayons and it looks fantastic, I'd be curious to see what it looked like that. But the bottom line for me is I'm a little more lenient now than I was then, even though I'm against it in general, as long as they always preserve the original.
Yeah, I talked about this a couple months ago on here, but I saw a film, I think it was Zorro. And I watched the whole thing, and then I realized after it was over that it had been colorized. I didn't even know. They did a great job, and it helped the film because Zorro played a man that was a little on the puffy side, shall we say. That was his secret identity, and when he dressed, when he wasn't Zorro, he dressed in these flamboyantly colored, like pink suits and light blue suits and all of this stuff that, so people are like, stay away from that sort of thing. And in black and white, it wouldn't, you wouldn't even know this. And I thought that was an important element in the film. So, sometimes I think it works.
The three Laurel and Hardy films. The Devil's Brother, I remember that being pretty sucky because it's got that freaking operetta stuff in it throughout the whole thing. March of the Wooden Soldiers is great. That's great. And that's another one. Talk about colorization. They really wanted that in color, I believe. Babes in Toyland, March of the Wooden Soldiers. Yeah. And I had one copy. There's a couple of copies that I had floating around that were colorized, but I had one on Good Times that was really good, and I don't have it anymore. I used to watch that one. Every year, I used to watch it in color, which is unheard of for me to prefer the colorized one. But I used to do that. Bonnie Scotland, I don't recall. Yeah, I see what you're saying. They're not on the Essential Collection.
I watched Bonnie Scotland not that long ago, but it was in black and white.
Joe, you met Woody Allen. Never knew that. Well, now this is my chance to tell my story again, like your Sandra Bullock story. Well, back then it was October 1994, and I was getting a lot of autographs. Then I was going into Manhattan, and I was like going to a certain hotel, just hanging out where the stars stayed. Anyway, so people, you can't tell stories like this anymore because people say stalking. The thing is, Woody Allen, I found out where Woody Allen's apartment was, but I wasn't going to stand in front of his door. I was going to like wait across the street if I happened to see him come out. I wouldn't go up to the door. But anyway, so I took a cab ride. I took a train. I went into Manhattan. It was this beautiful, beautiful morning. The weather was gorgeous. It was such a beautiful day in the city. I couldn't believe how sunny it was. And it was like one of his movies because he loves New York and he's always filming New York. So I take it to the upper East Side or whatever side it was, West Side, East Side, whatever side it was. I don't want to get it wrong. I think West Side. Anyway, it was really ritzy, nice area, and these long city blocks. It was such a beautiful day. I said, I said to the cab driver, let me out here. I'll walk. I had to walk several blocks. It must have been like 10 city blocks to go. And it's just me. There's nobody out yet. This is early in the morning, like 9 a.m. or something. I got there really early. So I start walking, and I start seeing these two little figures coming towards me. I didn't even have to walk long. It was only like 5 minutes. And I start seeing these two figures. And as I get closer and closer, I can make out Woody Allen and Sun Yi, So this is 2 years after the Sun Yi catastrophe, whatever you want to call it. So they start walking. As he gets closer, I start reaching in like I had like something to be signed, and I'm reaching in, and he could see that I'm recognizing him and reaching in. But so he starts to disguise himself. He pulls out one of those floppy, I call it a fisherman's hat. Like he puts it on, and he thinks at the next corner he's going to cross the street. But we kind of arrived at the same time, so I kind of like, look, folks, call it whatever you will, but you have to sometimes make the extra move. So I kind of like. I went with him and I said, "Excuse me, Mr." And he tried to play like he was surprised. I said, "Oh, Mr. Allen," and I said, "Hello." And he goes, "Oh, hello." And I said, "Can I have your autograph, please?" And he said, "Oh, certainly. Yeah, sure." He was very nice. He signed it. And I remember hearing in the news that he was having a lot of trouble with the movie he was filming in the city that time. And looking back on it now, with hindsight, I think it might have been Mighty Aphrodite, because that was the next one that came out. So I said, good luck with the movie. And he goes, oh, thank you very much. A very, very nice, polite. And it was so beautiful. I got out of the cab, 5 minutes, it was done. Go home. I didn't have to wait around. It was so perfect. And I didn't get a picture, but I got an index card, actually. I didn't even have a photo. They used to do that. You carry index cards with you, and they would and you'd have somebody sign an index card. And then you could always mat it with a picture or something. I've never done. 30 years. Hello, David. How are you? What's going on? David Niven played Bond and Peter Sellers as the substitute. It depends with the subtitle. Sometimes you'll get an old Chinese martial arts film with it. Doesn't get it across quite right with the dub. The tone.
Well, they never do, but it doesn't matter.
Frasier is more like a drawing room comedy. Well, the thing about it is it's like high class kind of thing. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, but I like that.
I think it's funny that they think he and his brother think they're so like above it all. And the father is so down to earth. That's what I like.
Well, I mean that's what's funny. One of my favorite things I ever did really quick on Frasier is they were arguing about who got the TV. It was a Monday night, and Frasier and Niles wanted to watch Antiques Roadshow, and the father didn't know what that is, but he's like, "There's this game show on PBS where people bring in old stuff, and they try to guess how much it's worth." It's like if they want to watch the same thing,
That's really like what it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, they want to watch the same show.
Cheers is always good. David says never colorize a black and white movie. Frasier has the dry, witty British humor I love, even though it's an American show. Okay, not a problem. This stuff does happen. I do like Taxi. I recently we almost got through the whole series. That was another thing. I found it really cheap at my record store. They had the complete series. We started watching them, and we gave up at some point. Then we went back several months later, continued, and we gave up again. Not because we didn't like it, but sometimes you just get on to something else. You know.
I haven't seen Taxi in years and years.
Okay. I read that the pilot for the Monsters was shot in color. I watched it once. That's not what I'm talking about, by the way. I should mention that. I'm not talking about the unaired pilot. I'm not talking about the one that was shot. It's true, it was shot in color, and it had who was it? Happy Derman played Eddie, and who was the other one? Joan. It wasn't played the wife.
I don't know, but I've seen it. I think it's on YouTube.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And even Fred Gwynn said, I don't know how they sold it. It was awful, the pilot. But what I'm talking about is one of the first episodes of the actual series with Fred Gwynn and Yvonne DiCarlo and everybody, Butch Patrick, the one called My Fair Monster. That one was colorized. There's another Taxi fan. Oh, forget it. My girlfriend laughs her ass off at Reverend Jim and the Taxi. He's the funniest. I agree with you. And I still think Louis De Palma, Danny DeVito's great. But I always say, back then when we first watched Taxi, when it premiered, we didn't know who Danny DeVito was, really. I mean, he did a couple of movies, but he was just a short, nasty guy. Now we know Danny DeVito's cool. He's a nice guy. It's hard to. It's a little different now seeing him. He's just playing another character.
It's funny. Almost everybody. You don't get sitcoms like this. Almost everybody on that show went on to bigger and better things when it ended. Almost everybody. You didn't get
that guy Jeff Conaway though, man.
He did some stuff before he got into drugs. He killed himself on drugs, but I mean he was in Grease. He did. Everybody did stuff. It's amazing.
I want to thank Tim. A few years ago at Christmas, I was really down. Then I came across you doing Christmas 45s. Really picked me up. Thank you. Now see that.
Well, you're welcome. I love 45s. I want to start making videos again, and 45s is one of the thoughts I've had on just featuring random 45s because I love them.
Definitely, I love 45s, and this is what makes it all worthwhile. I get people all the time telling me, "You wouldn't think so." Oh man, you helped me get through COVID. Oh, I was in the hospital and I was binging your videos. I'm telling you, man, it's amazing. Some people say they look forward to these live streams.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I heard this. Yeah, Stan Laurel said he wished Wooden Soldiers had been shot in color. Yeah. I think the DVD, I didn't think I liked the Legend one. I mean, there's one that everybody said was good. I think it was Legend Films, and I didn't like it, but it was Good Times was another one that I did
Legend, like. That's what Legend did primarily, was colorize things.
They ever hang out at the Dakota? I wouldn't say I ever hung out. You can't really hang out there anymore after what happened. But I've walked past it many times, since that unfortunate nightmare night John was killed. But I've been there. You stand, maybe you get a picture. But the most did I hang out? I don't really know. Come to think of it, what about with Yoko when I met you in 1994 again? That was a big year, I guess. I met Yoko at the Dakota, and I guess we did stay kind of at the curb. It wasn't, down by the sidewalk, away from everything. But hey, look, like I said, I met Woody Allen. It's as far as to love Woody Allen movies and to meet Woody Allen and actually get a nice, friendly moment on a sunny day that I'll always remember. I mean, do you think I really give a fuck if some people say, "Oh, you're a stalker," "Oh, you this, you that," "Oh, why'd you?" He put his hat on. Why'd you cross with him? He played it. He played the game. He went along with it. He was cheerful, even though he tried to avoid it. Maybe he didn't, but it was worth it, is what I'm saying. Same thing with the Yoko meeting. I met her 2 days in a row. I went with a friend. We went 2 days in a row, and both times we didn't have to wait long. And she was wonderful, and I'm glad that it happened. But you see, you got to make the effort sometimes. I mean, I realize there's nothing better, Tim, and other people, than if you just happen to see somebody, or they come into a store, or but that very rarely works that way. You usually got to go. You got to go make the effort usually, and you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And some people don't care. I do.
Yeah, I don't care that much, but I have met my fair share of
Yet
celebrities.
every time you tell that story, you sound really like.
Well, no, because it's Sandra Bullock, who was just
of all stars in the world,
so nice and.
Yeah, come on, you love it. Come on. I saw an interview with someone who lived in New York and ran into Woody Allen a few times and said every time he shouted, "Hey, Woody," Woody would just run away. Yeah. Well, the thing is too, like, but it wasn't hard really to see him, because he was always at Michael's pub. They said he played his instrument, his clarinet, whatever he played. And he got around. Now, Al Pacino is another one who is notoriously wonderful with the fans. Every time I see a video of Al Pacino, he'll always be cool. He'll always sign for the fans. And it happened to me too. I met Al Pacino. I mean, it's amazing to me. I was doing one of these days, and guess what? It was also 1994, I believe it was. And I was actually at a hotel where I was hanging out with some people that collected autographs, waiting for people to come out. And somebody said, we got to talk. He goes, "Did you ever get Al Pacino's autograph?" I said, "Nah, not yet. I'd love to." He goes, "Well, I got him already." He goes, "He's downtown doing City Hall, a movie with John Cusack." I didn't know anything about how to get to City Hall, but I took a cab and I got there, and there he was. And there was like a trailer on the street, and he comes out of the trailer, and John Cusack comes out of the trailer, and they're walking. The paparazzi's like snapping pictures, and they got a football, and they're tossing, and they're playing catch with the football as they're walking through the grounds from the trailer across the grass, the courtyard, whatever it is, to get to the set of City Hall. And people like "Al, hey," and he throws the football. And he goes, "Here you go, John, go long," and he throws it like that. Then he goes next to a girl, takes a picture. That's okay. Thank you, honey. Okay, John, here, catch it, throw it, and he's over there. Could you sign? It's like amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I got photos from that too. It was amazing. Now, some people don't get tickled about stuff like that. I think it's fantastic. This is the guy that's in Carlito's Way. This is Scarface. This is great. It's Al Pacino, for God's sake. Oh, well. This is a great show tonight. I like the Allen for Midnight in Paris. I don't. Everybody loves that movie. I just watched it again recently. It's okay. My girlfriend loves it. What I don't like is Woody's not in it. I want Woody in it. But I like a couple of movies he's not in, so. Yeah. Woody Allen said, "Oh, geez, here comes Mayo." Yeah. It's not channel, but it is funny. Okay, this is good news, everybody. Wish well for David. He's rehabbing his hip. He's talked about this before, getting stronger and better every day. That's good to hear. Okay, not trying to bring this up. Of course you are, Henry. But do you think Woody Allen having his reputation kind of stained is warranted or blown out of proportion? Well, I think it's blown out of proportion. All I could say about it is that in the case of Soon Yi, number one, she was old enough, she was of age, and number two, she was not a blood relative. It's very weird, very awkward. But guess what? They're still happy and married together 30-something years. Okay, so it worked.
It's unfortunate. I look at it this way: it's unfortunate that it happened, but it happened, and you can't really do anything about it. You shouldn't. these two shouldn't have to be miserable because they can't be with each other because they happen to fall in love. It's unfortunate that they did. You know, it would have been better if they would have each found somebody else, but they didn't. So, okay,
it's an awkward, unusual
Yeah.
set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not a blood relative. It's not underage.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. That's
Yeah.
the first thing. The other thing is Mia Farrow. I like her movies and stuff. She's half a nut. She's not all there, in my opinion. And Woody Allen passed a lie detector test. Some people say lie detector tests aren't everything about that incident, whatever went on with the kid or whatever. And she refused to take one. So that tells me everything I need to know. And I also think that they were coached. That's what I think. So, and the third thing, I just care about the movies.
Yeah, that's where
I don't care about all that. It's funny you should say this. When I was a kid, I didn't really watch the Mod Squad that much, but I remember watching a really scary episode. I thought it was scary where the black man, his name is Link. He's in the Mod Squad, but he gets in a prison. They put him in a prison. I think they electrocute him. I think he has to act like he's mentally challenged. He's in one of those places. That's what I mean by scary. And they actually, and I remember them electrocuting him or something. Anyway, but I've had a hankering to see the show, okay? Even though I don't know it. I just want that whole feeling. I want the 70s, late 60s, early 70s psychedelic vibe and the music. The theme song. I kind of want that. So I might buy that blind one day. Yeah, I got to go along. In some ways, I got to say I Love Lucy may be the best sitcom, and also because it was I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the first, and it was innovative because the camera.
It was just about the first. I mean, it got weak at the very end, unfortunately, but you know they maybe should have ended it a season or two earlier. But it for the most part, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the Night Court. Yeah. And yeah, Danny DeVito. I knew he was in Cuckoo's Nest. True, just Mr. Martini. Yeah, The Monsters is also one of my favorite sitcoms, actually. Yeah, Woody Allen has so many good films. I mean, they do start getting to be similar after a while, I gotta say. I mean, did you ever hang out at the Dakota before 1980? Why did you ask me that? Say me that. No, but seriously, the only thing that happened was when I was 15 in 1977, I had some friends and they said, let me go try to meet John. So, at that age, I didn't know anything about Manhattan. I didn't know anything about the trains. I couldn't even think of how to get to the Dakota, but where it was, I didn't even know where before the internet. So a group of us, 3 or 4 friends, they knew how to do it. So I went with them. We got there. We got in front of the Dakota, 1977. And the doorman told us John is vacationing in Japan. And that's the only time I ever went there. And I always kicked myself at least once a month that I never made the effort when he was re-recording in 1980 or 70, for that matter, 78, 79, and 80, that I never went any of those years. Yeah. Michael's Pub. Okay. Yeah, I remember this. Mike picked up season 1 of the Mod Squad. I like the actors, but the stories aren't that involving. Okay, very nice. Thank you for the good wishes, Eric. Yeah. Well, Ronan Farrow looks like Frank Sinatra's son. I remember reading that Mia Farrow's brother was dodgy. Haha. Ronan is 100% Sinatra's son. Looks nothing like Alan. Yeah, Hannah and her Sisters is one of my favorites too. And it's not stalking until you get a restraining order. Yeah. Woody Allen said he wouldn't bet his life on his son's paternity test. Yeah, I love this movie too. They dug a hole in the wall to get into the bank vault. Small Time Crooks from 2000, which I found out later is actually, I think it was an Edward G. Robinson kind of thing they borrowed, a comedy with Edward G. Robinson. But anyway, well, this is really fun, and we're going on past 90 minutes actually. But what do you got there? Oh, there it is. Small Time Crooks. I love that movie. I assume you like it.
I haven't seen. I watched it once, 20 years ago or something. I don't think I've seen it since. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I really like that movie. I mean, it's like he comes back to doing comedy after a while. Back then, it was like he's in it, and playing this old guy like this one-time bank robber or something, trying to do a heist again. He's old and everything, and Tracy Ullman's his wife. And at the beginning of that movie, they actually he's channeling Ralph Cramden at the beginning of the movie. There's all kinds of things, and he's like, her name's Frenchie. The wife is Frenchie. Name and Tracy Ullman. Oh, I'm telling you, Frenchie, you're making me one of these. Frenchie, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to let you have it. I mean it. He's like, one of these days or so. He's like doing a little bit of like, sounds like Jackie Gleason.
He lets her do something besides cry. That's all she gets to do in Broad Street. She gets to cry.
Yeah, she did. That's funny. She gets to make the cookies. She makes the cookies, and the cookie they buy a pizza place or something, and an abandoned pizza place, and she makes a cookie business out of it. And but it's a front, because while she's making cookies, they're tunneling in the back to go into the bank and everything. Then it turns out the cookies are a hit, so they become rich and wealthy. She's a cookie, queen. All this kind of stuff. I really like that movie. Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. This is the best time I had here in a while.
Wow. Oh, you're fired, Tom.
No. I'm binging Streets of San Francisco. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm losing track too. Who's who? But I gotta cut it short though soon. So
yeah.
I watched that Rainy Day in New York. I enjoyed it, but thought it was not like a good version of Annie Hall of Manhattan. Still good though. Which one are we talking about?
Maybe Small Time Crooks, because that's what we've been talking about. That's my guess. Well, folks, all right, I'm going to start shutting this down because we had a great time. I really appreciate everybody being here. We had a good time. We didn't even have much to show, really. Well, Tim had a bunch of movies to talk about, and still we managed to, get a lot of comments. Good questions, good comments. Please join us here. We try to do it every Monday, we're live every Monday. And if you can't make it, watch the replay. All right, everybody. So thank you. What's coming up next now? This is Monday. I get my dates mixed up. Oh, my God. Monday, Danny is going to be, the Joe and Danny show. For those of you who like me starting up again with Danny, we do that over at my other channel, which is Mayo Loves Mondays. And here it is. You don't need this. You don't need to read it. Mayo Loves Mondays is where I do Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern with Danny. It's a little too early for some people, so maybe too late for some other people. But I'm having a good time doing that. And then Saturday over at my Mean Mr. Mayo channel, my regular channel, that's where I do my own thing, where I call it Catch Up with Mayo. And things are going to have to change a little bit with maybe with times and shows and things, because as of September 2nd, I'm going back to the dreaded detention center school thing. And I got to go there every Tuesday night. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Tom, you might be kicked out of here if we have such a good. I want to do these things Tuesday nights over at the detention center, because I have 2 hours to kill, 7 to 9, which is kind of like the time we are here.
And I really would like to do them on Tuesdays, but unfortunately, Tom's always working Tuesdays, so he can't make it. So that's why we do them Mondays. You know, I want Tom to come on the show, seriously. So that's why we do them Mondays. And I got to figure out, or maybe we'll do the Danny thing, the Joe and Danny show on Tuesday nights over there. Or maybe I'll do my catch up with Mayo instead of Saturdays at 4. I'll do them Tuesdays at 7. I mean, I don't know. I got to figure what I'm going to do here. Yeah, I know. I'm crazy. That's because I'm crazy, James. That's because I'm crazy. I went back the old way again. Joe and Danny is on the Lifestyle channel. Mayo Loves Mondays. Yeah. Like I say, the best thing to do is stay subscribed to my 3 channels. This one, Mr. CineMayo. The main one, Mean Mr. Mayo. And the third one, Mayo Loves Mondays. And that way, you'll be able to, at some point, see what's going on, because I don't even know sometimes. Oh, really? Normal? Oh, I'm normal? Well, Tim's normal, maybe, but... Seriously,
you,
thank you, Kimber. Thank you. And how about your plug, Tim?
I don't really have anything to plug. My podcast is on hiatus again because I've lost a couple episodes and I just don't have the heart to redo them, and so I don't have much to plug. If you haven't listened to the last 3 episodes of my podcast, that's all I can have up anymore. snapcracklepop.podomatic.com. But if you have, then hopefully one of these days I'll have a new episode up.
One of these days.
Yeah.
Well,
you know.
In the meantime, let's just say adieu for now. So long, folks.